Oh, today's the day. I am both excited and petrified because it is finally time to actually water cool and complete my custom gaming and work PC. Don't know why I put so much emphasis on the word work there. This is a PC gaming channel, not a working man's channel. And a working lady's, of course. Oh, now I'm spilling water down myself. Oh, that doesn't bode well. This video is sponsored by Hostinger. If you want to kickstart an epic website domain in just minutes, hit the link in the description below. All of the components have actually arrived now, and there's a couple of new additions. The main thing really was this, and I was mentioning this in the last couple of videos. This is the EK Quantum Kinetic Cooling Unit, which actually sounds pretty cool as is, but once you get it in your system, this is essentially going to be like a pump res combo. It's not a distro plate, and this is going to sit in this very nice, neat gap here. So a lot of people commented, why on earth are you using a 240 AIO in your system and leaving this horrible gap down there? Well, as I said from the start, it's all temporary really. This is going to be a full custom loop. And I will say, I have fulfilled my promises because we do have some Hardline liquid cooling gear. And as I say that, you can probably hear my voice drop a little bit as the intensity of what we're about to do does hit. But I've done it before. A massive thank you to Corsair for actually helping out a lot with this build. It's not sponsored by them, but they have provided a lot of parts here. Do you want a little sneak peek? Oh, yes. So it's essentially like a solid black, almost like satin-like tube. But I think this is going to give us like a nice stealthy look, and as long as it's done cleanly, it's going to look awesome in this black case. I've also now removed the RTX 3080 Ti from my editing rig, ready to go in my new machine. So if I cock this up and ruin something either with this graphics card or with the cooler, then, well, I no longer have an RTX 3080 Ti. I've never done anything like that before. No, it's done it again! We've got our CPU block, the Corsair XE7 RGB Pro, which is ready for the Intel 1700 socket. And then in terms of radiators, I'm not entirely sure how it's going to work. I've got both a 280 that we might put at the top, which is what we've got there, or if it will actually fit, we've got two 360s, so we can have one at the front, one at the top, and then that distro plate that's not a distro plate, it's actually a pump reservoir that will fit here. Got that? First things first, we should actually get the old bits taken out, replace this fan at the back that has no business being there, and get this ready to water cool. Well, there are definitely so many advantages to water cooling your system, not only in terms of like visual appeal, noise levels, temperatures, in theory your components lasting even longer, but the main drawback for me and the thing that always absolutely petrifies me whenever I do decide to do some water cooling is the inherent risk of actually taking things quite literally into your own hands and just sort of hoping and praying that everything is going to go smoothly. Like this whole thing could take 3-4 hours, or it could take a whole week, or it could take never as we blow everything up. Well, I mean, okay, that's a bit dramatic. Some things could happen. Bad things. I think the point that I'd really like to make is that an all-in-one liquid cooler is more than most people would ever need. When you're getting into really high-end components like this, then obviously a custom loop is going to make sense if you've really got that enthusiasm to do something different and you want something to be properly custom, you take a lot of pride in what you do, and I guess you're willing to have a little bit of fun with it, right? But really don't go thinking that it's a necessity. I feel like it is for me in the channel, but maybe that's me and my like big head. I mean, I don't think it's that big, is it? So now comes the thing that I'm probably most excited about, because this is the component that's going to take my PC from a decent water cooling build to something I think that's a little bit more unique. And I don't think I've seen anyone else do this yet, because as much as I've enjoyed using the Corsair HydroX system over the years, I don't think the pumps look the best. The smaller sized one, okay, looks better than the larger one, but neither of them are particularly striking. And I think when you've got so much case here, having something like this, which is definitely a little bit more bold and striking, is going to set your rig apart and is going to make it look that little bit more unique. So you can get this as a standalone or with a couple of different pumps. I've gone for the smaller one here, so this is the DDC pump, but you can also get this with D5, is it called? But the question is, firstly, will this physically fit? Does look like it to me. Inside the box you also get your mounting hardware, which looks like a couple of brackets and some screws. I'll spin this round so you can properly see what the issue might be. While it will sit cleanly on one side, you're going to have this sticking out pump and then the side panel won't actually go on. So what I'm going to have to do is use some sort of mounting hardware that pushes this back just far enough that it will actually fit, but then not so far back that we're going to run into clearance issues with the fans at the front. I've attached the bracket that you get in the box to the back, and this should work in the vast majority of cases, but it is slightly bigger than we need it to be, which could put us in the issue where we might get some clearance issues. But let's try it, because this would easily be, well, the easiest option. So it'll just sit there like that. But now comes the nervy bit of actually test fitting whether the fans will fit in. You know what? We might be all right. We might be all right. These are Corsair's XR5 360 radiators. They come in different thicknesses, different lengths, so you can get pretty much whatever you need. I mean, real worst case scenario with this is going to be to have a 120 at the back, 360 at the top, and then 3 lovely fans at the front, which will give our motherboard more airflow. It could arguably look even cleaner. It's just not going to be the best for outright temperatures and performance. I'm feeling pretty good about this then. I think it's because I know the trajectory. I know we're on the right path, and it is just a case of getting everything inside and filling it up now. But I will take this opportunity to not only tell you that we've obviously had some changes in the studio, and then I'm incredibly pleased to announce that I'm actually working on my new line of PC-centric merch. The idea is to design some of these, some PC-centric mouse mats. It is still a few months out because logistics at the moment is a nightmare and we're still finalizing those designs, but I really wanted to share my excitement with you and tell you that the name of the store is going to be PC-centric.store. It was actually acquired from the sponsor of today's video, Hostinger. Want a web hosting service that lets you easily manage and host your website in a quick, easy, and affordable manner? Introducing Hostinger. All of Hostinger's servers are extremely fast, allowing clients crazy quick load times, speedy deployment for users, and a 30-day money-back guarantee for complete peace of mind. Hostinger has even transitioned to light-speed servers, making things even faster and more feature-rich. There's professional custom email domains, web servers, domain names, and scaling for everyone from small startups to huge public companies. And it doesn't matter if you've never coded a line of code in your life, as thanks to the Hostinger panel, you can drag and drop your WordPress site in minutes. There's 24/7 support and multilingual staff for help in over 20 languages. But here's the thing, Hostinger already offer a crazy price to quality ratio, but now it gets even better. If you use code Centric, or just click the link down in the description below, nice and easy, then you can get an extra 7% off your annual web hosting plan. And that's not just 7% off, that's 7% on top of any other discounts. So make sure that you hit that link down below to learn a little bit more and get your website started today with Hostinger. Welcome back, and indeed welcome back to the costume change, because things took a slight turn for the worst, and slightly the better as well, but also the worst because it turns out I actually needed some additional tools before we can take this RTX 3080 Ti apart. In terms of the PC itself, I've actually made quite a few changes, and the main one really, I actually missed the fact that you could just put the fans on the outside of the case and then have the radiator on the inside. And this has actually resulted in us being able to fit 2 360 radiators, one at the front and one at the top. The clearance is minuscule, there's quite literally like 0.5 millimeter in it. It's definitely a bit of a tight squeeze, but I'm very glad because now it means I don't have to choose between looks and of course thermals, acoustics and outright performance. But let's press on and actually get this thing assembled and fully water cooled. Definitely has been a long time in the making, and we're going to start with our new CPU block, the XC7 RGB Pro. Of course, there are loads of different blocks you can go for as long as you've got the mounting and it will actually physically fit without clearance issues on your board. Then I love the fact that you can properly customize your PC and get something so different to like your average gaming PC. I'd say that this Corsair block looks pretty good, but bearing in mind it is very similar to what I've used before, maybe I should have gone for something else. But what is it that the old saying says? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But then again, custom water cooling is probably the complete opposite of that phrase. If it works fine, break it and then break it some more, spill some water in it, try and make sure everything works, and then maintain it for a couple of years. I don't think that's the official phrase. But otherwise, you can enjoy what is the easiest thing to install, I think, ever when it comes to CPU cooling, because all you need to do is grab this back plate, feed it through the holes at the back, pick up your CPU block that actually has pre-applied thermal paste, and then just drop it over and secure it down. That's the easy bit out of the way. Now it's time for what I would describe as the daunting, hard, lose sleep over bit, which is to pick up your pristine, fully working, absolutely nothing wrong with graphics card, and then take it apart hoping you're not going to damage anything. And this is one where I would highly advise that you do actually follow a guide ahead of time. This isn't something you really want to muck around with, because of course the reason that they actually use all of these third-party, really annoying proprietary screws is so that you don't fiddle about with it. First thing I'm going to do is grab my little prizing tool and just see if I can lift up this central bit. So part of this X look just lifts off. You just need leverage in the right place and it should just detach like that. I mean, to be fair, are there actually any instructions in the Corsair box? How nice a Corsair. Here's our tiny little water block, by the way. Isn't she cute? This is the reason you'd want to go for a Founders Edition. Unscrew all fasteners and disconnect all of the cables. So even though this is specific to a Founders Edition, the manual is not as helpful as it should be. Corsair, fix this please. Then we can proceed to take off these small little screws on the top of the card. But please, for the love of everything that is PC gaming, make sure you're collecting all of your screws in some form of tray or plate so you don't lose them. Then you can remove these tiny little magnetic covers that you have to hide the screws on the back of the card. This is where we start to get into the realm of different sort of screw territory. You need Torx 5 for this. There we go, comes out easy, easy. And I know a lot of you are probably wondering why I don't have an overhead camera. For now, you're just gonna have to put up with this. Oh, there we go. Ta-da! And you'll see that this is actually the back of the back plate, yet there's still loads of stuff on this. You are paying a lot of money for your graphics card, but in terms of very small things on a PCB, you are actually getting a lot for your money, including these really tiny like ribbon cable things that you need to remove here, here, and is there a third? Here. You now need to pick up your TR8-bit, then remove these 4 screws here, 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 and here, so you can actually take the cooler away from the PCB of the graphics card itself. You've then got your 4 spring Torx 5 screws in the middle. You've got 2 more on the end, and then this whole thing should gently just lift off. And this is where you have that really cool Founders design look, where you can really see just how packed in that is. And when we talk about the 12-pin connector, it does actually make quite a big difference because there's this tiny little thing over here on the right-hand side, and then the rest is just stuff you need for the graphics card to work. Then you're going to need to grab some CPU cleaner. Just give it a good old rub until all of that stuff is off. With hopefully the most nerve-wracking bit out of the way, we can now grab our GPU block. We'll take off the protective film or cover on the back of the block. We'll pick up the now finished and cleaned GPU, and we'll just lower this down on top. We can then pick up our back plate and remove these little protective covers from the thermal pads. This is the good thing about using the Corsair system. Everything is all nicely and neatly laid out in exactly the right place for you. So in theory, you shouldn't have any issues. In theory. So let's drop this back on top. You will need to fit the I/O plate on the back though, and they do actually give you a little screw so you can do this. Otherwise you just put the back plate down and then just gently screw it into place. That is our graphics card, hopefully done and ready to go. That is quite a big difference, isn't it? Especially if you're going to do like a smaller RTX system, this thing is perfect. Which now means we can actually put the final component in our system before we do the water cooling. Just line it up with a slot, drop it into place, and then realize that the fact that it's now so small means that you're going to have all of these cables that you're going to have to tidy up somehow. Maybe I should have just got a plain block. Rightio then. I believe that is the system complete. Shall we get water cooling? Let's give you the rundown of the way this is hopefully going to work. I say hopefully because things always change, but I have planned this out the best I can. It should be quite a simple loop really, because the outlet is on the left-hand side, your left, so we're going to come out and up into this GPU block, into the SSD, and that's going to be the hardest bit. Not looking forward to that at all. Out into the CPU block, again, not the easiest, I've done that before. Ugh, horrible stuff. Then back into this radiator, into this one, and then of course back into the pump res. We'll grab our tubing, and we can actually start with that easy one, I think, at the back. Corsair quite handily sell this XT Hardline kit, and you'll need a heat gun when we start getting to the bending. And of course, when you do that, you need to put this little rubber insert inside the tube so the whole thing doesn't like bend into itself and allows the fluid to actually go through. And the whole thing, like honestly, is quite simple. It's more just the fact that it's very time consuming and you're gonna make a lot of mistakes along the way. So this is definitely the sort of thing you should do over a whole weekend or take a couple of days off holiday, and you can just be all relaxed about it, and when it's done, it's done. So let's pop our first fitting in. Do the same up here, although it looks as if I've decided to put a chrome one there earlier for some reason. I suppose this is a good idea of the difference look. One's chrome, one's black. Around about 37.5. I need to get myself a proper vise though, this is rubbish. Come to Papa. Way too much. Get rid of all of the crap with this. goes actually into the hole. We can actually start bending some tubes because I want to now do this bit here. So the way that this is done is very simple. You just grab the insert, you slide it in, make sure you're leaving a little bit out so you can actually pull it out. Then mark on the tube where you want the middle of the bend to be. Grab your heat gun, turn it on, and then just slowly rotate this whilst moving it up and down so you can get a nice clean bend once it heats up. Move fast, move fast. Oh, I've done it wrong. I've done it on the wrong bit. That is a disaster area. Done on the wrong bloody bit, haven't I? That's an example of a bad bend. You can't really use that bit either because you've got a little like bum cheek on it. Yeah, look at that, it's pants. It does show you that it's not actually too hard to do, it's just quite difficult to do really well. Well, 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 what can I say? That definitely took a lot longer than I anticipated. I think all in all it definitely has worked out quite well. I haven't tested it yet, as you can probably work out from all of this kitchen paper, so things are about to get a little bit risky in here, but I have actually tested this with my little handy dandy air pressure tester. So the way that this works is essentially you connect this to your loop, pump it full of air, and then if there are any leaks, which there were, then you'll actually be able to hear the air coming out rather than having to go through the process of discovering water leaking everywhere and potentially risking some of your hardware. Make no mistake, that is still a possibility, but you'd like to think it's definitely less likely. Excuse the pun, but once I got in the flow of things, this actually wasn't too bad. The main issue was, again, going from this Hardline SSD to the graphics card. That's not really the easiest thing because you've got to go up ever so slightly around like this bend on the graphics card, and the lip on one of these O-rings doesn't really want to tie up once you've sort of tried to get it too tight and you've cut it a little bit too short. So the way around this, and I think actually makes it look a little bit better, is to have this bend in like a C shape. So the loop almost flows from right to left and then all the way back through. So all in all, I definitely am pretty happy, but we do need to get this thing, well, tested to see if it leaks. Please don't leak. The first fill we're going to do is with this Corsair clear fluid because I want to make sure that all of the sediment and stuff is gone, even though it's going to take a little bit of time. And then once I know everything is working, I'm going to use the more valuable Mystic Fog. So essentially what we have is this little reservoir here. It will glow and it will react with the fluid and all of the RGB lighting, but otherwise it will let the components themselves do the talking. Right, quick safety check. The power supply is only connected to the pump and maybe the fan controller, but that doesn't really matter. Oh, but here's the nerve-wracking bit. Right, just a little bit. This was my great idea, but it doesn't really seem to be filling. Ah, there you go, that'll do it. We're filling, we're filling. That looks good, doesn't it? Look at that. Give it a quick whirl. Let's go again. Aha, there we go. I think that's it. I don't want to get too cocky because I do want to leave this to leak test overnight as it is a very valuable bit of kit. Look at this, look. Custom loop, Hardline, and it's mine. It's such a bittersweet moment because I've been waiting for this for what, a year and a half? I've been saying that I'd do it and I've been putting it off and putting it off, but it has taken so much effort. It's been a lot of stress. There is one final part of this series coming, hopefully soon. When I actually switch to this as my main machine, we show you thermals, acoustics, what it's actually like for gaming and performance. If you do want to learn a little bit more about this rig and anything that's inside it, including current pricing, then you can find all of that linked down below, my Amazon affiliate links. But thank you so much for watching this video. Smash the like button, get yourself subscribed, and I'll catch you in the final part.